be in order, please rise for the pledge of allegiance and the invocation following.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear God, please bless our elected officials. Grant them the wisdom to know and the courage to do what is right for all citizens. Amen.
Amen.
Roll call, please.
Goodard.
Here.
Green.
Here.
LaFleur.
Here.
Mistrovich.
Here.
Ricks.
Here.
Schultz.
Here.
Yar.
Here.
Motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting of August 18th would be in order.
So moved.
Support.
Motion made and supported. Is there any discussion on those minutes? Being none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Against? Motion does pass. We move on to audience comments on any non-agenda items. If anybody would like to address the city council. We don't have a podium for you here. Okay. We'd maybe take the opportunity to thank the Historical Society and Christine for allowing us to begin our second annual meeting to be held here at the schoolhouse in the village. Thank you very much again, Christine, for letting us be in here. And it's somewhat cool too. Okay, move on to adoption agenda. Mr. City Manager, any changes?
I have no changes. I did lay a couple things on your table tonight. One is a slightly adjusted policy for the solicitation item, and then also some photos for that same. Very good, but no changes.
Very good. City Council, any changes? Motion to accept the agenda as presented be in order.
So moved. Support.
It's been made. Support. Any discussion? Being not, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Against? Motion does pass. Is there a motion for the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented.
Support.
It's been made and supported. There's no discussion on the motion. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against? Motion passes. We move on to items for consideration, which we have 5 this evening. The first one being consideration of adopting resolution number 2014-14, recognition of Constitution Week. Mr. City Manager.
Council is scheduled to consider adopting resolution 2014-14, a resolution proclaiming Constitution Week as September 17th through the 23rd in the city of Richmond. Council has adopted similar resolutions in 97, 2001, and 2013.
Thank you, sir. Is there a motion?
I make a motion to adopt resolution 2014-14, a resolution proclaiming Constitution Week as September 17th through the 23rd in the city of Richmond.
Support.
It's been made and supported. Any discussion?
Mr. Mayor, I'd just like to read the end of our proclamation.
Go right ahead.
Now therefore be it resolved that the Richmond City Council does hereby proclaim that the week of September 17th through the 23rd as Constitution Week, and ask our citizens to reaffirm the ideals of the framers of the Constitution had in 1787 by vigilantly protecting the freedoms guaranteed to us through this guardian of our liberties, remembering that lost rights may never be regained. And I just would like to thank the council for continuing to support this, and just that we note how important the Constitution is to our community and our freedoms that we have.
Very good. Any other discussion?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Just so you know, we talked about reminding the importance to our citizens. It'd really be nice if Constitution Week was happening more in Washington. Is when you look at the president and Congress and their failure to get work done, it'd be nice if they were a little less Democrat, a little less Republican, and maybe more Constitution, and get something done.
Anything else? Any audience comments on this? Back to the table. All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. Aye. Against? Motion passes. Item number 2, consideration of a special event request for the Chamber of Commerce for the annual Treats in the Street. Mr. City Manager.
Council is scheduled to consider giving a request to the special event request from the Chamber of Commerce for the Treats in the Street event, which will be held again in the North Municipal Parking Lot. This year's event marks the 9th year that the Chamber has sponsored the Treats in the Street event. And it will be Friday, October 31st from 5 to 7 p.m.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
I make a motion to approve the special event permit request by the Richmond Area Chamber of Commerce for the utilization of the municipal parking lot from 12 p.m. to 9 p.m. on Friday, October 31st, 2014 for the 9th annual Treats in the Streets.
Support?
It's been made and supported. Is there any discussion? I would hope, and I had talked to Jill, but I had hoped that there was more to this, that in case of inclement weather, it would be moved over to the community center. Has there been any comment?
I know that when I talked to Jill, she had mentioned that there was an event at the community center.
Oh, is there? Oh,
Yep.
okay.
And Jill, and I wish she was here tonight, indicated I think it was a truly outdoor event this year.
Mm-hmm.
That if in case of it inclement weather, she'll cancel rather than move. But that's the impression I got talking to her.
Okay. Okay.
I did indicate to her through email that the meeting would be here tonight. So.
Okay. Okay. I just remember running around, some of us did last year to make sure that the word got spread.
Yeah.
You're gonna have good weather this year.
I'm sure we will. And it's a Friday. Even better for the kids. Okay, anything else? Any audience participation on that motion? Back to the table. All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. Aye. Against? Motion does pass. Moving on to item number 3, consideration of adopting resolution 2014-15, designation of street administrator. Mr. City Manager.
Act 51, the Road Funding Act requires that we designate a street administrator. Last council meeting, we designated Public Service Director Jim Getzinger as the M19 maintenance supervisor, and this is the other side of that coin. This would be the street administrator for the city of Richmond. He would handle then all the Act 51 paperwork and responsibilities.
Very good. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution 2014-15 designating Jim Goatsinger as the street administrator as requested by Act 15, Section 13, subsection 7, Public Acts of 1951.
Support. It's been made and support. Any discussion? I know Jim's new. You informed him he wasn't going to get paid anymore. He just keeps on getting the titles.
There's a few more to come, I'm sure. But I didn't want to throw too much at them this time.
Yeah.
Oops.
Okay. Any other comments? Anything from the audience? Congratulations, Joe.
Thank you.
Back to the table. All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. Aye. Against? Motion does pass. Item number 4 is consideration of special event requests, Second Chance Network. Mr. City Manager.
We had received this request previously, and it was originally on our agenda at the last meeting. I asked council to remove it when they adopted the agenda in order to give administration a little more time doing some research. One of the things that I'm asking council to do tonight is to adopt some guidelines for soliciting within the intersections. In your packet, you had some of those guidelines. Talked to a number of council members tonight, and we have kind of a revised one that's in front of you. And the revisions mainly are on the bottom section of numbering, just making sure that our local organizations can comply with the guidelines. And then at the top, it kind of clarifies that we're talking about the solicitation of the intersections, not Girl Scouts going door to door selling cookies or something of that nature, but it's the organizations that come before us asking for permission to solicit at Main Division and County Line 31. With this, the policy or guidelines would state that organizations that we give permission to do that be located within the city of Richmond or the Richmond School District, and then have some kind of guidelines on what information they need to provide to us in order for us to review the request. Having said that, our recommendation is to approve the guidelines, and then after that, we would actually request that you deny the application from the Second Chance Network.
Very good. Is there a motion before discussion?
I move to approve the proposed guidelines for the soliciting on the city streets with additional requirements of requiring workers' comp insurance should they have paid solicitors.
Whoa, excuse me, Jeff, I'm sorry. You're making a new motion that's not in front of us?
I'm just taking the motion we had, but including that we add workers' comp to number 6.
If they have paid solicitors.
If they have paid solicitors.
So,
Okay. Do you happen to have that in writing already?
No.
Okay.
This motion.
Are you following that so you can reword it?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead then. Make your motion. I'm sorry. Is that it?
That's it.
Oh.
That was only, the number 6 has insurance language, and I'm asking, making the motion to include workers' comp requirements in number 6.
If they have paid.
If they have paid solicitors.
okay.
Okay.
So I'm clear, you want to amend number 6 on the guidelines to, so you're not, the motion is to, for the proposed guidelines, but you're wanting to make just an addition to the guidelines.
To the guidelines.
Okay.
Can you read that motion back, please?
Motion by Yar to approve the proposed guidelines for soliciting on city streets with the addition to the guidelines to include that workers' comp insurance would be required if the organization has paid solicitors.
Is there support?
I'll support.
Motion been made and supported. Discussion.
I'm just,
Go right ahead.
the issue is in regards to this insurance, it may not the issue has come up that apparently the groups that we typically see don't, but some that are coming in, it's been suggested that some of their solicitors are being paid, which makes them employees. And if they're employees, that group should provide proof that they have workers' comp insurance for their employees. Because if they get injured on our streets, they'll be looking for, as employees, they'll be looking for somebody to pay for their injuries. This helps substantiate that if it's a company that's coming in, if you could be a nonprofit company with solicitors, paid solicitors, that you have all your paperwork in line. Now, a group, say, who we typically have in the past, the Lions, who else is? KFC. Typically, they're volunteers. They're not paid solicitors. They wouldn't be required to have workers' comp. But in the case of particularly, it sounds like possibly one of the individuals who are asking for permission may be using paid solicitors. And in that case, we would not, if they failed to have that insurance, and they were injured, we would not then want us to become a target for that individual to try to get payment for their injuries. So it just further ensures, if it was a group, although nonprofit and paying employees, that they have all their paperwork in line.
I completely understand what you're saying. I just haven't been able to digest that to think how that may affect a Richmond organization.
It doesn't. It has no effect.
Well, that's your opinion.
Well, no, they don't have paid solicitors.
Well,
But if,
okay, is it paid solicitor or is it a paid person on staff?
paid solicitors. If the people they put in the streets are being paid to be out there to solicit, and I don't know if any of those groups, they actually pay people to go out there and solicit in the streets. of the groups that we've had in the past,
Mhm.
actually paying their individuals to actually solicit, it would not affect those groups.
But
However, if you have a group that that has nonprofit status, who may not be a charity, and not receive charitable status, well, actually, they could pay people to solicit, to be out there. It will not affect our charities because they're not paid solicitors.
Okay, but for example, we do have a Chamber of Commerce who's nonprofit, who has a paid executive, so she would not be able to go out there and solicit funds for something maybe the Chamber of Commerce wants to put on.
The Chamber of Commerce, would she be in the street as part of the Chamber of Commerce,
She could
soliciting
be.
for the chamber?
That's why I'm looking, you know, you bring this up, and I haven't had a chance to think it all out, but off the top of my head, if in fact that happened, that they would have to have workman's comp on her.
If the chamber, if you have 3 employees, you have to have workers' comp.
Okay, they have one employee.
So if that group should already have workers' comp insurance, anyone that already should have workers' comp insurance, we're saying is that if you should have workers' comp, which means you have paid employees, a minimum of 3, then you should provide us that proof that you actually have gotten the workers' comp insurance. You're not requiring anybody to get workers' comp that isn't required to have workers' comp. We're saying is if you're a business conducting a business activity, when you can have a nonprofit business activity, and that is required to have workers' comp, then you should be providing proof that you actually got what you were supposed to have. In the case of the Lions or the KFC or what have you, you know, there may be paid staff somewhere, but if they qualify as an agency that has to have workers' comp, we're saying you should provide proof that you have workers' comp. They're already going to have it. If the law requires them to have workers' comp, they should already have it. All you're saying is you need to provide what you already legally are required to have.
Well, I personally don't know what the law says, and evidently, has the administration looked at this?
I had Jeff talk to me about it today.
Okay. So, I mean, it's your opinion, and you may be totally right, Jeff, but when we are going this far on a policy for the city of Richmond, I'd rather have our city manager and/or whoever he designates to take a look at it and see just exactly what that, how far that will go in effect towards any of our nonprofit organizations that they may have not done it yet, but they could in the near future.
Well, if they're supposed to, by law, have workers' comp insurance,
How do you know that they need to have workman's comp? As a city councilman, that's not part of my business, that's part of his business. So you're telling me that as a fact, but
no, I'm telling you.
that's my expert over here.
No, I'm saying is that if the law requires
Yes.
that in the company have workers' comp, then they need to provide, I'm saying they should provide proof of their workers' comp. We're not requiring them to have it.
I understand completely what you're saying. It's just, I don't know how that affects what may happen in our community.
Well, can I ask a question? Because like, for example, let's say the Lions gets a bunch of football players and pays them like $10 or something for standing out there, then that would disqualify them because they wouldn't have workman's comp on them.
If they.
Because that would be a
No,
paid solicitor.
No, because, if they're paying people to do a job that they fall under workers' comp, they should have workers' comp. The question becomes then, are they in violation themselves of the workers' comp law?
Well, but do you understand what I'm saying?
No,
Okay,
I-
regardless of that situation, I'm just throwing out something there with the tennis team or something, they give the kids like $10 or $15 to do that or something, or I don't know. I'm just saying they wouldn't have workman's comp on those kids or the 18, whatever, because they have to be 18, or, I don't know, I guess I don't agree with you, I'm telling you.
No, I understand, but I mean, you know, why, you know, the reality is, there are groups that apparently, that would reasonably meet this criteria, who, I'm saying is if they should have workers' comp, if the law requires them to have workers' comp, then they should provide proof that the workers' comp. Now, they could also say, we don't qualify, we're not required to. They could say, we have one employee, we're not required to have workers' comp. Okay, fine.
I understand.
You provide proof.
I
But
understand what
do
you're
you
trying to
really
do, but I
want-
think already with our, the way this is written, that our organizations within the city wouldn't, and we always have that, we can always deny requests. We can deny, if anybody who comes, we can always deny the request. We don't have to give, we just deny the request. I just don't want to limit, I would definitely want this to be looked, and I want to approve this tonight the way it is written, because I think we need guidelines quickly. And I'm not objecting that we can't take a look at what you have added, but I would request that you remove that so we can get this passed tonight, and then maybe we can discuss this at a quarterly roundtable or something, so we can have time to research it further.
If it's voted down, it's voted down. I mean, it's a reasonable way to ensure that the people who are coming in have proper insurance. And this is the same thing we do with our vendors. We make sure that that's in line. It's a matter of protecting the city, that somebody comes in who is hired, who should have thought that, that if that group is supposed to have insurance as employees, that they actually have it, so that they're injured and they don't actually have it, that they don't then try to come back on the city for their injuries. This is very, frankly, I think we've also had our concerns with having people in the streets in the first place. This is something where I'm always leery of approving these in the first place. I don't think it's something that historically we've done, but I don't know that it's always the safest thing that's happening. So to ensure that the city's protected, the individual's protected, I think it's appropriate. And it does not affect our people who are volunteering for the Kiwanis or the Knights or anyone who's volunteering their time is not affected.
So, Mr. Mayor, so Councilor Yards, your concern is on number 6, that it's not beefed up enough because that language there is not, in your opinion, protecting the city enough because they would already say hold harmless agreement with the city.
Well,
And then you were also mentioned about paid solicitors or paid staff. Now, are you concerned about the people that maybe somebody, I can't imagine the organizations in our town hiring somebody to go out there and solicit funds at the corner. But as the mayor mentioned, we have certain organizations that do pay somebody to run, like the chamber, and then I can think of the odd as well. So if they were out there, not in their capacity as their position within the organization, but they're out there just helping the organization raise funds, do you want it in both situations, or just if they're actually paying people to solicit?
if they've hired an individual to solicit in the city,
And I
not
think
a
the
paid executive.
Yeah, but I don't think the organizations, that we've approved in the past would pay people to solicit. And I think with as Councilor Green mentioned, we're trying to kind of limit it to local groups and stuff like that. So I don't think we have an issue here now. I would hate to hinder those organizations from doing good works and trying to collect funds for charitable organizations or good things by putting something in there that I don't think there's an issue. So, just want a clarification. So you're saying just the people that they're actually paying to solicit for those events?
If they're paid employee solicitors, they achieve employees of the group organization, and they're out there soliciting as part of their being paid to do this, I think they should provide documentation that they have workers' comp to make sure that they have all their paperwork in line.
Okay, now are you just talking monetary? Or if they have a group out there and you're giving them pizzas, for standing out there, or you're buying them lunch, that could be construed as being paid for their time being out there, and I would have a problem with that.
I don't think, my studies of workers' comp law doesn't include paid as pizza
Well,
being
the
paid.
way the laws read anymore, people twist right around and, well, yeah, I was getting paid because I was getting pizza. As far as I'm concerned, that's why we pay Rex to go over this kind of stuff.
I'm not sure that Rex was aware that one of the issues that are coming is that some of these groups are using paid solicitors.
And he is correct on that, I'm not saying local Richmond folks are doing that, but that organizations have done that where they have paid people to raise funds for them to stand out there because they don't have people to do that.
But that's why we're.
And one of the things I mentioned with all of the council members I talked to tonight, these are guidelines, they're not an ordinance, so they can be adjusted should we see problems that come up over time. You know, we don't have a first reading and introduction, first reading, second reading, and adoption. These can be adjusted by the council at any meeting.
Okay. Any other discussion? Any audience participation on this item? Back to the table. Anything else? Call for the vote. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Those against, nay. Nay. Motion does not pass. Is there any other motion by the council?
I'll make a motion to approve the proposed guidelines for soliciting in the city streets.
Support.
It's been made and supported. Discussion. I think in our past discussion here on the first motion, it'd be worth noting to our lawyer the concern and find out if that is something that we should be following up on in the future. Council good with that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, any other discussion?
Just, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to thank Councilor Yard for bringing that to our attention, and it is something we should look into, and just to make sure that we're covered. So, thank you.
Anything else? Any audience comments on this motion? Back to the table. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Against?
Nay.
One nay. Motion passes. We have a second motion. Is there a motion to be made?
Make a motion to deny the request received from the Second Chance Network to conduct an intersection fundraising drive.
Support.
Made and supported. Any discussion? Any audience comments?
Mayor.
Yeah.
I think, Second Chance Network and the paperwork indicates that they are all helping the homeless. And I think that's a noble cause, except their paperwork doesn't seem to be in line with our expectations. And I think at some point, if they achieve meeting those guidelines, then they can bring it back.
They're definitely not a Richmond organization, as we just adopted, so they want to meet those guidelines. I agree. Any other discussion?
Just, Mr. Mayor, I'll just reiterate that it looks like there's a lot of discrepancies in the paperwork as well, so they need to get that cleared up as far as different addresses.
Anything else? Any audience comments on this? Back to the table. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Against? Motion passes. Item number 5 is consideration of purchase of the recreation mower. Mr. City Manager?
In the 2014-15 budget, there was $7,000 approved within the budget for the purchase of a recreation mower. Having looked at this, we are in kind of reviewing a finishing mower for our tractor. However, we will still need a mower for our recreation department. The current recreation mower is no longer working. They're borrowing the mower from the DPW department that's working now, but at certain times of the year when the grass is growing in the spring, even if we do buy a finishing mower for the tractor, we will still need a recreation mower. Julianne Kammer, our library and recreation director, worked with Preston friend who's been doing mowing in the recreation department the last few years, to go around to solicit bids on mowers within our price range. There were probably 3 within kind of the $7,000 range. One from Zimmer's, one from Well Equipment, and one from the Palmer. Administration's recommendation is for the Gravely from Ball Equipment. It's a little bit more than the one from the Palmer. It has a couple different things that the recreation department felt put it above the other.
Thank you, sir. Is there a motion before discussion?
I make a motion to approve the purchase of the Gravely Pro Tern 160 mower from Ball Equipment for $6,999.
Support.
Motion been made and supported. Is there any discussion? Well, I guess I'll lead it off. Historically, we have tried to go with the lowest bidder. We're talking a difference of about, what, $352, somewhere in that neighborhood, to go with a Hustler brand. And from the background, what I see is the difference for the one that the motion's been made for, the Gravely, is it's got a large gas tank. It says an improved seat with full suspension and spindles sealed on the deck with an alert system. In my head, I don't know that that's enough to make the difference in going with somebody who's $350 higher. What do we know? What did we have before? Can I ask that? Do we know?
Yes.
I hate to put you on the spot, but
No, Toro, Zero Turn, Z-Master.
okay, Toro. Okay, and do we have any idea what it is that we have that we're borrowing from the cemetery? Any idea, Jim? I hate to, again, I hate to put you guys
I
on
want
the
to say
spot.
it's a Toro as well, but I'm not
Okay,
certain.
okay. And I don't know. This doesn't quite sit right with me. I don't know. I tried to do a comparison. It was pretty hard to do. Certainly the Gravely gave great statistics on how it's made, basically what it consists of, the thickness and everything else. But we really don't have that from the Hustler X. Same engine, and everything, and I just, in my mind, I've got to justify the other $350, or whatever it comes out to. I don't think a larger gas tank, when you're talking a 6 to a 10 or something on that order.
Mr. Mayor, are you talking about the Hustler X1 or the Hustler Fast Track HD?
The one that is closest.
So the Hustler
financially, that's
X1
X1i
I,
commercial.
okay.
$66.47 versus $69.99 for the Gravely.
Okay, okay. Oh, okay.
So I know you're not an expert on riding zero-turn motors, and I don't know that any of us are. When we, not that long ago, we bought a new skid steer. Was that the lowest price?
No, we
It wasn't.
actually went with the recommendation of the person using the piece of equipment.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
In pretty much similar circumstances. They had, part of that was they were required to bring out their equipment because they were doing lawn hours in kind of tight spaces around the Veterans Memorial sculpture, that sort of stuff. We wanted to make sure maneuverability was one of the key components on that particular.
I think visibility too.
Right, that was the problem.
Yeah, visibility was a problem. Okay.
So did he get a chance to test drive these then?
I don't think he test drove one, but he did go out and look at each, and met with each salesperson,
Okay.
so he got a better look at it.
Does anybody know what spindles sealed on the deck means? Because I don't.
Well,
I'm
it
not
says
sure. I
right
mean, I know
here.
what the spindles are.
additional 1/4 inch spindle reinforcement supports maintenance-free XL spindles for reliable performance.
That's all it is. Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know. I got nothing. I was thinking maybe it's these things right here.
Well, they're both City of Richmond businesses, and that's, you know, which is great, number one, that they can definitely compete with other out-of-town business. Just want something to hang my hat on. I know the spindles are an issue. There's no doubt about it. It's one of the first things normally that go in a deck because they are a bearing item. And I guess we're dither here as far as I'm concerned. Okay, any other comments? Any audience comments?
Were there any reviews for the two pieces of equipment that were considered?
The person that went out and actually met with each of the people putting in a quote is Preston Trent, who does the mowing for us for the last 3 years and also contracts with us on the side business that he has with his brother to mow the people that are in violation of the weed ordinance. His current mower, I know that he uses from home, is a great one.
So he's used to driving those, knows how they work.
That doesn't mean it's a reason to go with that one, but that's who did the review and provided that information to the recreation director.
Early on in the
I know a
season.
lawnmower guy, if you want me to.
Yeah.
Early in the season, we also talked to Jim Franklin about in May, and he recommended either an X mark or a Gravely. The X marks are over our price budget right now.
Okay.
So, but
Okay.
again, that's just personal preference.
Yeah. Well, now here's a guy that's got 40 years of experience in our DBW. Nothing against the person that made this, but I wouldn't consider him an expert by any stretch of the imagination. He's a young man who's done a good job for us. But when it comes to spending a little bit more money for the other one, I'd like to hear it from somebody who has been in the business, so to speak. And certainly Jim's been in the business for many, many, many years. So, okay. Any other discussion? Okay. All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. Aye. Against? Motion does pass. City manager comments, sir.
Earlier today, I emailed out to council the calendar page for October. I do have hard copies here. I know it's a busy week, so if you'd like them, I have them tonight. I can pass them around. Otherwise, those of you who've already turned in, that's fine. Just good luck to the festival and all of the different organizations that take part in that.
Okay. Moving on to council's comments. Michael?
I concur with the city manager and look forward to the festival and hopefully everything goes well. Have great weather. Look forward to seeing people out there.
Jeffrey?
I concur, and I thank the Historical Society for hosting us tonight.
Yes.
I agree with Jeff, and this, hopefully everybody can make it out to the home football game on Friday, good old days, this Friday actually, and they're up against Yale, so coming off a big win against Marysville, so it should be an exciting night.
Yeah.
Hopefully it'll be a great homecoming for people that are back in town.
Yeah.
Come out and see the new things that have happened in the schools, all the new improvements and everything that's going on, so the school administrators and superintendent probably enjoyed everybody be out.
Yeah. Good. Jeffrey?
Sure, we go to all the good stuff.
Jamie?
I concur as well.
Jimmy?
Likewise.
And I as well. Again, it's another good old days, our 51st year. It's been great working with the city again and the administration that John has and his departments, getting the town ready for the onslaught of about 60 to 100,000 people, depending on the weather. And we're looking forward to everybody having a great time and a memorable weekend. So, since we have a new venue, I do not have a calendar. I can tell you probably in about 2 weeks from yesterday. We will have our next council meeting.
And a week from Thursday, we will have a planning commission meeting, I believe. Troy? Planning
Yes.
commission this week?
Yeah, planning will meet the second Thursday of the month
Yes.
at 7 o'clock at City Hall.
Yep, which will be 1 week from this Thursday.
1 week from this Thursday,
Okay,
okay?
the 11th.
The 11th.
We got it right
Yeah, September 11th.
And City Council will be meeting on the 15th of September at City Hall. From there, you go on our website, or if you have one of the city's calendars, it's all printed out on there. Okay, is there any other business of the City Council this evening? Being none, a motion to adjourn be in order.
there. Make a motion to adjourn.
Support.
It's been made and supported. There is no discussion on the motion. All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. Aye. Against? Motion passes. Thanks for being with us.